Hi, everyone. This is Steve Dallison, and welcome to this week's edition of CEOs You Should Know. I'm thrilled to be joined by Dr. Christine Blaine, the founder of Blaine Plastic Surgery and Operation Beauty. Dr. Blaine, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
We're excited to jump in to learn more about you and, of course, more about the practice. So why don't we kick it off talking a little bit about your career path? I know it was very unique. You started as a physician assistant before shaping into a board-certified plastic surgeon. How did that experience really shape your perspective when it came to patient care and influence the way that you practice today?
So I knew from a very early age that I wanted to be a part of medicine. I had open heart surgery as a child, and for me, I was going to be a doctor my entire life until I got to college. And then I realized that the pathway is difficult, which is fine, but there were a lot of bumps along the way that I felt changed how I really felt about medicine. People were cheating in school. It was a very different era where, pagers were coming about. They were getting text messages with the answers for tests, and I was very disgruntled. Being a very ethical person, I was raised Catholic, you learn that there are going to be cheaters in the world, and I had to overcome that portion of my doubt to move on. And I said, well, I'm not going to give up my love of medicine. And
Sure.
I learned about physician assistant, and I said, oh, this is a nice pathway. I can have a family. And I was more afraid of the time commitment. And I did it. And then I realized I want more. So I was in surgery as a physician assistant, and I said, this is what I want to do, but I want to be the one in charge. So the type A personality won out. And I realized it doesn't matter how long it takes. As long as you get to your goal in life and you're happy with your goal in life, then it doesn't matter how long it takes.
I love that. That's kind of scary that people were cheating, though, to become doctors, too. So
It happens everywhere, though.
Yeah.
You know that. So I just had to learn that it doesn't matter what other people are doing. I
Sure.
just have to focus on my goals and get to them.
That's a great perspective. And what initially drew you to plastic surgery? And when did you realize that that specialty in particular can make such a big impact in people's lives?
That's a great question. I thought I was going to be a cardiothoracic surgeon because I had open heart surgery, and that was where I was going. Until between my first and second year of med school, a PA friend of mine was going out on maternity leave for a plastic surgeon, and I went and filled in for her. And the plastic surgeon I was working with, Dr. Vitolo, said to me during a case, you need to do this. And I originally was like, oh my God, what didn't I do? And I was worried that I missed something in the case. And he said, plastic surgery. And I looked at him and I said, what? And he says, you have an eye for it. And that changed my world because I said, really? I never thought about it. And then the more we spoke, he said, patients are happy coming to you. Patients are happy when they leave you. And it was a very different take. He said, you're not operating on really sick people. It gives you the opportunity to have a life. And all of those things brought together. And one of my best friends told me that she had had her nose done after high school. And she told me that she never would have been able to be in a courtroom as a lawyer if that didn't happen. So the confidence that she gained from making a change made me realize that plastic surgery is not just about the fluff and the beauty. It's about the confidence that you can have somebody obtain by fixing something that they see as not great on themselves.
100%. It's a real positive impact on individuals.
Yes.
Now, in addition to being a founder, you wear many hats. You're a wife, you're a mother of three, you're a successful surgeon. A lot of demanding roles, right? What lessons have you learned throughout your career about balancing family, career, and personal well-being that really influence the way that you also approach your patient care?
Yes, it's busy, and I love it. I thrive in chaos, I guess. My children are the best thing that ever happened to me, probably, and I'm so proud of them. They're developing into such beautiful little people. My husband is a very big supporter of my practice, and I couldn't do that without him. What I have learned is that you have to take each person as an individual that you treat and help them understand what their pre-op, post-op recovery will be. And being in all these roles, I've experienced a lot in life, and we take the time at our visits with the patients to ensure that they're prepared, that after surgery, you're not going to be able to take your child out of the crib. You're not going to be able to pick your child up off the floor or get them out of the car seat. Little things that maybe somebody else doesn't talk to a mom about, or even just a person. If you live alone in the city, you're not going to be able to pull those big heavy doors open after you just have your breast augmentation. Little things that you want to make sure people are ready for. I had one girl that lived alone, and I said, you need somebody to stay with you. And she said, I prepared everything. And she realized that as soon as she went to go get the pot of soup out of the refrigerator, that she couldn't lift it. So little things like that have helped even tweak how I've handled each person, and knowing where they're going to be after surgery and who's going to be with them helps a lot. So I think that part of life and the experience you have in life helps your patients.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know at your practice, it's a combination of surgical procedures, medical aesthetics, wellness services, all under one roof. How has that integrated approach really helped out with the patient experience?
We like to say that a patient becomes part of our family. So we don't want them to have to go down the street to get a facial. We want them to go across the hall into our spa. We found that as I was developing the surgical practice, people were coming to me with a lot of the issues that we now deal with in the med spa or the wellness spa. We have a lot of women, we have a lot of men, and everybody wants to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And now in this new age of regenerative medicine, the vitamin drips, the hormone replacement, things that were not spoken about years ago are now a very common conversation that we have every day in my practice. And it got to the point where I'm like, well, why do they need to go somewhere else? Why don't I learn it and incorporate it? And that's what I've been doing throughout the years.
It's great. One-stop shop.
Yes.
Speaking of the patients, I know patient education is very important to you. How have you been able to foster that culture where patients feel informed, they're empowered, and they actively are involved in all the decisions that they're making about what procedures and what treatments to have?
The education portion is what I constantly talk about, even on social media. There's a lot of funny stuff we can do on social media, but for me, I'm always like, I want to do the education. I want to do the education. So people can learn not only about your practice, but about different topics just by being on your social media, being on your webpage. But when they come in for the consultation, we take the time to go through things with them. And I always see them again in a pre-op visit. And at that point in time, I say to them, write stuff down, send it in an email to us, like whatever you want. That, everybody gets nervous and they forget to ask questions. We take the time with the patient, even if they have a question when they leave, they can text, they can email. And that open line of communication is very important. It makes people feel comfortable. And that's what I want for my patients.
Absolutely. Speaking of social media, I feel like there's probably on social media, you could see lots of different options and new procedures and different treatments and supplements and you name it, right? I know you just mentioned that you incorporated the drips and other hormonal treatments into the practice as well. How do you vet all that's what's new to make sure that it's safe and effective for your patients?
Yeah, there's a lot of education that I have to do.
Mm-hmm.
We go to conferences. We get our CMEs from the national conferences in both aesthetics and just general plastic surgery. We have to take exams or online, follow-ups every year. We have to do a recertification basically to ensure that we're up to date on our specialty. We do a lot of I do a lot of webinars at night just to learn from maybe the surgeons that are considered the pioneers.
Mm-hmm.
I actually lecture also on certain things, so it keeps me current because then I have to make sure if somebody asks me a question, you know how to handle it. There are a lot of trends, and I have to know what the trends are. I don't have to follow the trends.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of things that come and go for good reason. But it is important to know where someone's getting the information from and guide them. There's a lot of misinformation out there.
Yep.
So I try and hit on that when a patient starts to say something. I'm like, okay, I saw this. I know what they're getting to. And I let them speak. And then I say, I know that you've seen this, and here's why I don't agree with it, or here's why that's not the right thing for you. Not to poo-poo someone, but you want to engage with them in a very open and educational conversation.
Definitely. And you want to do what's right for them.
Yes.
One of the
Absolutely.
things I love that you shared was one of your core philosophies is helping patients enhance their features rather than change who they are. How has that belief really helped you transform the long-term vision of your practice?
So we talk about how it's not a one-size-fits-all type situation for anybody. It's all about having that individual really feel individual. So people come in with ideas,
Mm-hmm.
like we said, and they say, oh, Kylie Jenner got this, and that's what I want. And I said, well, Kylie Jenner's built very different than you, or, this was the look that she was looking for, that she obtained. That might not be what you're looking for. So again, looking natural and not looking overdone is what is important to me, and it's important to my patients. There are patients that come in that want a little of that overdone look, which is okay if they understand. You have to make sure your vision and their vision are aligned.
Yep.
They're the ones that have to go home and look at themselves. So we want to make sure that you have that open communication again to hear what they want and try and obtain those results based on their goals.
That's awesome. It's important for them to be happy when they look in the mirror afterwards, right?
Absolutely.
Looking ahead, we just talked about a bunch of trends and stuff that's happening. What trends and innovation do you believe will have the greatest impact in your field over the next 5 to 10 years?
Definitely wellness. Like we said, regenerative medicine and wellness. There are a lot of new companies coming out with exosomes. We know stem cells is still a hot topic. Things that can really change chemical structures inside of you to the point where it can slow down aging or reverse aging. That's probably where it's going. Other than that, again, trending right now, natural look, not overdone, which is good. But people are much more aware of wellness. And it's great because why not continue to look vibrant well into your 60s and 70s and 80s and don't just say, oh, well, that's life.
Yeah.
And you don't have to look 20 when you're 80, but you don't have to look 90 when you're 80.
Yeah, you can still feel good about yourself.
Yes.
That's very important. So looking back at the practice, what has been one of the biggest challenges you face while you've been growing the practice, while you've been adding all the different elements within it that really helps you teach about your leadership in particular?
So we laugh about this. We say, don't let Dr. Google get in the way of a physician's experience. I also student taught, and I have a degree in teaching because I love to teach. And back then, because I'm not 20, my master's thesis was how the computer era is going to affect doctor-patient relationships. And if I knew then what I know now, I probably would have been afraid to do that as a thesis type thing. So patients come in with a lot more knowledge, which is great. But patients come in with a preconceived notion of what's best for them. That's very challenging. I spend a lot of time either explaining to them why that's not the best thing for them or talking it through with them about why they want what they want. And that's fine. A lot of times people are right. They're educated. But not everything is for everyone.
Yep.
The other challenge, which is some people will say is generational, I'm not sure. I think it's ethics, is finding the right staff. It's very hard to find a team, and we have an all-female team. That's not to say I won't hire a male. It just tends to be in aesthetics, a lot of females.
Makes
but we
sense.
have male anesthesiologists, and it's fine. So if any men are interested, come talk to me for a job. So it's tough to get the right mix of people to have the specialties that people can become more expert at within the practice. So my estheticians, we have some that are more advanced with their treatments. We have some that do the basic stuff. I have lymphatic massage. So someone gets trained in that and has somebody else that helps them to learn more advanced techniques. And then we have a PA that does injectables, and she's fabulous. But you have to find the right mix of people with the same vision as you.
Totally.
Because this is not just my company. It's
Yep.
all of our companies, and in order to grow, you need that support staff.
100%.
So my manager has been with me for a number of years now. She's fabulous. She knows how to de-escalate me if I get all riled up about something, which is really wonderful because you need that balance. I always say, oh, I'm coming to see you in HR right now. Like we're the HR department and we joke around, but it's really to know that you have another family at work
100%.
Because you spend a lot of time with them.
Yeah.
So
And you're only as good as your team.
Absolutely.
And obviously the practice is your brand. So you want to make sure that every single person that's coming through the doors that are experiencing all your team memberships are having the best experience as possible.
Yes, even who answers the phone. Now I have Stephanie has been with us for over a year. She's a retired English teacher, and I love and adore her because she proofreads everything. We talked about language earlier, how like she knows language and it's beautiful.
Awesome.
And then I have younger people who help with the social media and AI, and it's a really nice mix, and we have fun, and that's the important thing too.
Yeah, it's funny that you said earlier the comment on Google. A lot of doctors that I sit down with, they said that obviously like AI and ChatGPT has now become one of their biggest challenges because people think they know everything just by asking
Yeah.
ChatGPT or another AI bot out there. So I completely understand that perspective.
Yeah, it's good though. It's a challenge and it's fun.
Yeah.
It's like, I know where you read that. So
That's awesome. I know that we talked about it earlier. One of the reasons that you originally got into plastic surgery, and obviously you had the confidence from your peer telling you that you had the eye for it, but also your friend talking about how it really transformed her life and gave her that confidence. How have that patient's feedback, as they talk about how it's improved their confidence and their well-being, continue and inspire you every single day after all these years of doing it?
yeah, we call it like the reveal day. Like if we take dressings off a patient and they look for the first time and they just light up, that never gets old, And from helping somebody who has a breast reduction, and they stand up straighter. They tell me about the new shirt they can wear, that they can button their clothes, they can wear matching pajamas, or the girl that like their whole lives had no breasts and never felt like a woman, how they're like, I can't wait till the surgery's over and I can actually feel like a woman. And when you hear that, you're like, wow, because if you don't experience that in your life, you don't understand this like heaviness that someone else has on them. And that alone is like beautiful when you see someone like just beaming because you help them feel better about themselves. And like I'll do that as long as I can.
That's a great feeling.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So for anyone tuning in that might have an interest in getting into the healthcare professional, especially women out there, what advice would you wish you would give yourself right at the very start that all of them should follow?
Don't let anyone tell you can't do it, because you can. I had, it's kind of sad. I was in Albany Med School, and you have to meet with the dean. And at the time, the dean sat down with me and he said, so what do you want to do? And I said, I'm going to apply for plastic surgery. And he's like, why? And I said, excuse me? And he said, well, Albany isn't Yale and they're not going to take you. And I said, well, I'll never know if I don't try. And I got it.
There you go.
If I let him decide for me what I thought I could do, it never would have happened, And again, like I said, Dr. Vitola was the one that was confident. He was like, I even said, I'm like, I'll never get into plastics. And he goes, you will, just apply. And I looked at him like he had the confidence in me before I had the confidence in me. Yeah. So hopefully that, if anybody's even out there, I tell people, come spend a day with me if you're, interested in learning, because the real world is in the offices with the physicians. And when you're in med school and when you're in residency, you don't always get that experience either. But the real world experience shows how it can be done. I did have children. I did open my own practice. I did open my own OR. I did open my own med spa, and nobody stopped me. And there's no reason anybody needs to stop somebody. And women in plastic surgery, I think we're still only 24%. It keeps going up, which is great, but don't let anybody tell you no. Wow. And don't let the time that it takes you to get there stop you. It's daunting when you're 20, thinking, oh, it's going to be 8 years of this, 5 years of this, but it goes so fast. Don't let anybody stop you.
It's great advice.
Mm-hmm.
So what is next? Any new exciting developments on the horizon for the practice?
I told everybody when I opened the Wellness and Aesthetic Center, I'm done. And they're like, yeah, sure. So I am a medical director at a spa in the Hamptons. So for the summer, I do see patients out there.
Very nice.
Florida is always nice
Okay.
for weather and maybe retirement, and maybe I will still do something down there. I'm not sure, but I got to keep my eyes open, ears open. And again, you never know. You never know. So
well, we're excited to see what's next. I know we covered a lot, but if there is one thing you want the listeners to know, that is that the mission of the practice, what would that be?
I don't ever want to be a mill, right? I don't want to do 20 surgeries in a week. I want everybody who walks in the door to be recognized as an individual and as a human being. To me, it's very important to take the time, make everybody feel special, make them want to come back for more, not just for a business sense, but just for that good feeling. Like people walk in and you greet them by their name. And I tell like anybody that starts with me, I said, start taking notes, because I'm going to ask you how I know that person. Mm-hmm. And so many people in my practice, so many patients in my practice are either friends of somebody who already came in, or somebody, they found you through social media, but now they've referred. So I have a very big referral practice, which to me trumps anything.
Yep.
It's just, that's the way I want it to be. I want somebody to come in the door that said, oh, I already spoke to so-and-so. They had surgery with you. That's why I'm here.
Yep.
And that's great. I think that was really my mission, was to make sure everybody felt special.
Yeah.
And I want to continue that.
It's the biggest compliment to get someone to send
Yes.
someone else there.
Yes.
So that's awesome.
Yes.
So lastly, if someone's interested in learning more, what should they do?
They can go on social media. So even our website, BlainePlasticSurgery.com, Instagram, we're Blaine Plastic Surgery NY and Operation Beauty NY. So any of those sources. We do have a TikTok, which I'm sure you can get to. I'm not huge on TikTok, but apparently patients see TikTok videos. And I have to say, I had a patient that I had done a breast dog on like 5 years ago, and she is now an influencer. And she posted that I did her breasts, and it was unbelievable. It still is unbelievable.
That's awesome.
How many patients have seen that? I'm like, wow. And it just, social media, BlainePlasticSurgery.com, anything along those lines. It's pretty easy to find people now.
Awesome. Well, we'll definitely check it out. Dr.
Thank
Blaine,
you.
thank you so much for being here today,
Thank you very
for
much.
sharing about yourself, your journey, and of course about your practice.
Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning in to this week's edition of SEOs You Should Know.